Hi, this is Cheyenne reporting live from my living room. I'm joking. Hi, welcome back to my channel. It's Cheyenne, and today's video is going to be a story time. Since my baby girl is turning 1 in a couple days, actually, you know what? When this video comes out, it will be her birthday. Let's do it like that. So, happy birthday, Yasmin! You're 1 year old! It's only right to do a story time about when she was born. It was, hold on, let me backtrack a bit. With my first baby, I was induced. And I'll do another story about that because it was actually a very positive experience. So with my first baby, I was induced because she was on the smaller side. So when I was pregnant with my second baby, I had to do multiple ultrasounds to make sure that she was growing on track and meeting all her milestones. So the doctor that I was going to, she was insisting on me being induced when I was 39 weeks. And I didn't want to be induced again because, one, I was scared about being induced out here in the States because I hear a lot of stories about, being induced and potentially having a C-section, which I was trying to avoid. I was trying to have a natural birth, no epidural, no nothing, which is what I had with my first daughter. She said that if baby doesn't come by 39 weeks, I'm going to have to be induced on September 15th. And I was not having that. I was like so stressed about having the baby on the 15th and me having to be induced. I was approaching the 39-week mark. And the hospital where I was giving birth, from where we live, during the daytime, because there is a lot of traffic and we live close to Disney, to get to Orlando where I was going to be giving birth, it was an hour drive. It could potentially be more than that. So I was very worried about going into labor and being stuck in that traffic and giving birth on the highway. Another thing was that my husband was working 2 hours away from where we were living. I was very stressed out about the fact that, the hospital was so far away and that my husband was working far away. So every single night I was praying to please, please, please go into labor in the nighttime when my husband was home and there is no traffic. And before I reached 39 weeks. As the time was approaching, I was doing everything possible to induce labor, everything safe to induce labor because, like I said, I didn't want to be induced medically, I wanted it to happen naturally. So I was doing things to kind of push her to come, like, eating spicy food, doing curb walks, going on the exercise ball, things like that. Also, I was worried about having someone watch my oldest when I went into labor because, like, let's say my mother-in-law was at work or my mom was flying in from Toronto on the 15th. So I was like, what am I going to do? So I was kind of stressed out and I was just praying and praying that everything would line up. So, I would have a positive experience and everything would go smoothly. Like right after Labor Day, I was officially on mat leave. So I had a full week. And then on the Monday, I was home with my daughter and I remember just being in the living room and I was just like so relaxed. I was watching a movie. We finally finished the accent wall. So I was just like my house is a vibe right now. Like I was just peaceful, like tranquility. Like the baby's room wasn't completely done. Like she still had clothes that needed to be packed away. Like the room needed to be straightened out. And one thing I'll say, if you're a new mom, don't stress about stuff like that because the baby's sleeping in your room. I was like so concerned about having her room fully set up. She didn't even sleep in there. She was sleeping with me. So I don't know why I was so stressed about having her room completely set up. Those things will come as, time progresses and when she's ready to be in her room. Also, I did want to mention, like, I told my doctor I do not want to have an epidural. And, she kept saying, like, are you sure? Are you sure? I'm like, no, I want to do it 100% natural. Like, when she was saying that she's going to induce me, she kept talking about having an epidural. And I was a little annoyed because I did not want to have an epidural. I originally wanted to go with a midwife, but out here your insurance doesn't cover, well, my insurance doesn't cover having a midwife, so I had to go with an OB. When I had my daughter, my oldest daughter, I had a midwife. I actually had a midwife and an OB because she was on the smaller side, but you know, my midwife took care of the majority of my pregnancy and afterwards. I actually wanted to have a home birth. That's really what I wanted to do, and hopefully my next child I'll be able to do that, but we'll see. Anyways, so yeah, back to Monday night. Like I said, I was chilling or whatever, and then my husband came home and I'm just relaxing with him. I put my eldest to sleep. I came downstairs and I was on the exercise ball, and then I was making cookies, and I got up from the couch to go. That's just my cat, Moon. I just felt like I bent down and then I felt this tightness in my stomach, and I like yelled out, right? I was being a little dramatic. My husband's like looking at me like, is this girl okay? And I sat down on the couch, and then he says to me, he's like, your water better not break on that couch. I know that sounds bad, but like, it's a nice couch and I wouldn't want my water to break on the couch either. I think he even told me to put something on the couch and sit down. I'm like, haha, shut up, or something like that. I was laughing about it. And then when I sat down, I was like, whoa, I felt something. So I went to the bathroom, and I don't know, this is kind of TMI. Anyways, I went to the bathroom and there were signs of that I could possibly be in labor. And I was like, oh my God, like, is this real? Right? But we didn't really like take it in because we're approaching the due date. Like, I was 38 weeks and 5 days. I actually did my maternity shoot the day before or 2 days before. Yeah, like as the night's going on, I decided to, you know, start straightening up her room, because then I'm like, what if she comes right now? So I couldn't sleep. So I went in her room and I started cleaning up, and then my husband went to sleep because he had work the next day. But I was like, what if I go into labor? He's like, okay, well, let's see how you feel, and he'll decide if I'm good or not for him to go to work. I'm up. I message like my mom and my sister in our group chat, and I tell them, you know, I said, I feel like I'm having contractions. And then I was like, okay, I'll keep you guys posted. And this was like after 1 o'clock, I think. And I normally go to sleep pretty late, so it's normal for me to be up at that time. Then I started getting contractions like more frequently. And I was like, you know what, let me go take a shower and see if that helps. So I went in the shower, and I'm literally saying to myself, like, is this really happening? Is this real life? Like, am I really going into labor right now? And I'm like, I can do this. And I'm like talking myself down because I was getting a little nervous, thinking back about that pain coming again from when I had my first daughter. I was nervous. I was scared. And then I got out the shower, I went and I laid down, and I was like, yo, you gotta start timing these contractions. Like, they're coming more frequently. So I downloaded an app and we were timing it. And then I told my husband to call his mom so she can come over and watch my daughter, my oldest. He called her and we woke her up. And in the time that I was waiting for her to come over, I'm like still getting contractions. And I'm just laying there, and they're coming more frequently. So she comes over, and then like as soon as I got up to, you know, get dressed to go, like they're just coming more frequently. Like I'm walking downstairs and like they're coming back to back. And she even said like she was worried that I was gonna have the baby in the car because of how quickly they were coming. And I'm like, this is crazy right now. Like, is this really happening? Luckily, it was, at this point, it was like 3 a.m., maybe approaching 4. Anyways, now the hospital, since there was no traffic, thank God, was about 3 hours away. Whoa, what am I saying? 30 minutes away because there was no traffic. We got there probably like 20 minutes. I swear, like I thought I was in Fast and Furious. My husband was like zipping through traffic, getting there, and I'm literally in the car holding onto the handle, like yelling, having contractions, and he's like trying to counter pressure the pain that's just in my back. Like, it was just crazy. It was like a blur getting there. So we get there, whatever, and I message my sister and my mom, and I tell them I'm on my way to the hospital, and that was after 5 a.m. We get to the hospital, and they put me in a wheelchair. I felt like I was in a movie. Like, everything was just like so fast. And it was just like different for me because my oldest, I had her during COVID and I was induced. So like this whole experience of having her in the US, it was just, so anyways, I'm like in the waiting area, having contractions, holding onto my pillow, putting my face in the pillow because I felt like embarrassed that I'm having contractions in front of all these people. Whatever, they get me into a room. I'm having contractions inside there. They're like, what's your pain level? I said 6 or 7. And they started to laugh. And they're like, oh, you're good or whatever. In my head, I'm like, why are they laughing? Maybe because like they thought that I was like in an extreme amount of pain and I'm like trying to like downplay it, or I'm just handling it well. Like, I don't know what it was. But I was just trying to hold out because I was like, the pain that I was feeling, it didn't feel like a 10 to me yet because I knew I was not at a 10. Like, I knew I had way more to face. So that's why I said that my pain level was at like 7. When they checked me and when I got to the hospital, I was already at 4 centimeters. So that was kind of a positive thing for me because I was like, okay, I'm progressing. So then they asked me, do I want an epidural? I told them I don't want an epidural. I'm trying to do it naturally. They're like, all right. To be honest, I don't remember what they said because I asked for laughing gas. And that was like a new thing to them. Like, they weren't used to mothers using laughing gas during labor. So I used it previously in Canada. So I was like, yeah, I want that laughing gas. Give it to me quickly. I need it. And honestly, that laughing gas helps. It takes the edge off. Like when those contractions start coming in and you inhale the laughing gas, it just like, you feel like you're floating. So it really takes the edge off. So I didn't need anything else. I didn't need the epidural. They took me out of whatever, I don't know what that room is called, and took me to my room where I would be actually giving birth. And when they had me on that gurney, whatever the hell that thing is called, when they had me going through the hospital and being in front of people and I'm in the gown and having contractions and stuff, I felt so embarrassed. Like, I don't want to be in pain in front of all these people. Like, I had a whole plan of being on like the birthing ball and going in the bathtub and blah, 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 blah. No, all of that went out the window when those contractions started hitting. I just wanted to be in the bed, curled up. That was like the only thing helping, and the laughing gas. Now, the annoying thing is they put an IV in me, and they said that they put the IV in me because, I don't know, they put the IV in me and I did not want it. It was really annoying because I knew I wasn't going to get an epidural or whatever. I didn't want nothing. I just wanted to do natural and just take my laughing gas and give birth. I had to keep this arm straight the entire time, and then they're taking my blood pressure on the other arm, and then I need to hold the laughing gas, and then they keep telling me, oh, keep your arm straight. I was just getting annoyed. And I remember at one point, like, I inhaled the laughing gas and everything went like in slow motion. Like, it was like everybody was talking in like very slow, like talking like a deep voice, you know, like in the movies. And they had the blood pressure monitor on me, and it was like squeezing my arm so bad. And I just remember yelling out, get this shit off of me. They probably thought I was crazy, but I was just like annoyed. Like, anyways. So then they told me I was like 6 centimeters and that my doctor was on the way. Before she came, they told me that I was still at 6 centimeters. And I was like, how am I still at 6 centimeters? Like, this pain is like freaking excruciating. Like, I didn't know what else to do. The pressure in my back was crazy. And I was just like, I was gonna cop out. I was like, I'm gonna get an epidural. I really felt like I could not do it anymore. And, you know, my husband, he kept saying like, are you sure? Are you sure? Because he knows like I wanted to just do it naturally. And when my doctor came and she heard me saying, you know, I want the epidural, she's like, you can do it. You can do it. She was very encouraging. And I was worried that she was going to tell me to get the epidural, but she actually pushed and reminded me like, you know, like, you can do it naturally. This is what you wanted to do. So I was really happy about that. And she actually told me, she's like, in the next hour, the baby will be here. So when I heard that, I'm like, all right, let me try to push through this for another hour. And sorry about that. My card was full. So back to it. I said I was gonna push through the last hour, which I thankfully did. They got ready for me to start pushing. To be honest, I don't even remember how long I was pushing for, but it wasn't a long time because within the next hour, my baby was here. I really felt like I was gonna give up, but I was able to do it naturally, no epidural. Yes, I did have the laughing gas. It just takes the edge off. I felt everything. It really changed my outlook on giving birth out here in the States because I really thought, you know, I was gonna have to maybe get a C-section, which I was really, really afraid of getting. Like when I was asking for the epidural, the nurse was asking me like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to get a C-section. She's like, you're not going to get a C-section if you're going to get an epidural. I just thought that it was going to slow everything down. Also, I do want to mention too, had I been standing up, moving around, going on the ball, doing whatever I initially planned on doing, I really feel like she would have came faster, because every time that I did stand up, like when I had to go to the bathroom, the contractions was coming quicker. So gravity was going to do what it's supposed to do, you know, and bring her down. But I just couldn't handle it, and I just wanted to be, you know, curled up in the bed. When she was born though, like she wasn't even crying, and I was like, why isn't she crying? And then finally she let out a cry, and she was moving her little fingers. And I always say to her, you know, like when you're born, you never even cried, and now you cry so loud. Like her cry is extremely loud. That is the birth story of my little Yasmini. Yeah, I just wanted to share that story since it is her birthday approaching. Hope you like this video. If you want to hear other stuff, or you want to hear my positive induction story with my oldest, let me know. Please like, subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video.